Agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 408, of which the Honorable John A. Boehner of the state of Ohio has received 216 votes. The Honorable Nancy Pelosi of the state of California has received 164, and the Honorable Daniel Webster of the state of Florida has received 12. The Honorable Louis Gomer of the state of Texas has received 3. The Honorable Ted S. Yoho of the state of Florida has received 2. The Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 2. The Honorable Jim Cooper of the state of Tennessee has received 1. The Honorable Peter A. DeFazio of the state of Oregon has received 1. The Honorable Jeff Duncan of the state of South Carolina has received 1. The Honorable Trey Gowdy of the state of South Carolina has received 1. The Honorable John Lewis of the state of Georgia has received 1. The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 1. The Honorable Rand Paul of the Commonwealth of Kentucky has received 1. The Honorable Jeff Sessions of the state of Alabama has received 1. The Honorable Colin Powell has received 1, with 1 recorded as present. Therefore, the Honorable John A. Boehner of the state of Ohio, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 114th Congress.
Well, there you have it on January 6, 2015, the 114th Congress of the United States of America re-elected to his third term as Speaker of the House, the Ohio Congressman John Boehner.
And there he is in the back behind
John
you.
Boehner is the second most happiest man in America right now, ladies and gentlemen. The happiest man in America is none other than Barack Hussein Obama.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Grover Norquist.
No, Grover's excited. Let me tell you, Grover sees cha-ching, 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 dollar signs. Grover Norquist does, because John Boehner is the reverse image of Grover Norquist. And this is him coming live?
Yep, he's coming live, just in progress. He's pulling up his little podium, and he's getting
Well, let's
ready
go
to
to him.
smoke.
Let's listen to him. And,
well, Nancy's got to give her a little. We'll jip it in when it comes in.
Yeah, cut in when what we're doing on today's show, because it's a hysterical.
Hysterical is right.
It is hysterical. It's a sad day. It's a dark day for America on 2 levels, folks. One, on the re-election of John Boehner, a pseudo-conservative, and we don't have to guess this. This isn't 2010 when he stepped up for the first time as Speaker. This is 4 years later with a track record that's horrendous for any constitutional conservative. Mind-boggling. We watched every detail of this election, and we were sad and disappointed with some good American congresspeople caving and voting for Boehner.
Great job, first-time Republicans, on your first vote. Way to go.
On that note, I would like to congratulate 2 freshman Republicans, the only 2 freshman Republicans that did not vote for John Boehner.
Oh, you're kidding.
And that would be Representative Dave Bratt from Virginia. Thank you, Dave Bratt, for actually having a sack and doing the right thing.
He doesn't suffer from lackabolitis.
Correct, Mundo. And the only other freshman Republican, Representative Gary Palmer from Alabama. Thank you, Representative Gary Palmer. Thank you, Representative Dave Bratt. For all the rest of you freshman representatives who ran a campaign based on conservatism and not going along with the party line, you're a bunch of phonies, and you proved it on your first day there. Congratulations, freshmen losers.
Yep, let's pull the pictures up of those 2 guys. They deserve recognition. And this was going to be another great conservative wave rushing into the United States Congress. And that's how they ran. That's how they got elected, many in the freshman class. And the first significant vote comes up. And not that there wasn't sufficient controversy, not that there wasn't sufficient precedent for not voting, because I think 29 or 30 people did not vote for
Right.
Boehner. Dan Webster, great guy from Florida, congressman from Florida. He got 12 votes, I think. Louis, our guy, Louis got four votes. Well, and himself, yeah. And I could have lived with Dan Webster also.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful guy.
Or even Yoho.
But
You know?
the sad part of this, and the historically dark part, is that we got 671 days from today until the election, November 8, 2016. Don't forget that, folks, 671 days. This was going to be a 2-year conservative onslaught to stop the juggernaut of neo-Marxism by President Obama, as he's going to use either through fiat or through executive order or some sort of get in the backdoor way of bringing his neo-Marxist policies, whether they're border issues, whether they're economic, whether they're foreign policy, whether they're endorsements of the Muslim Brotherhood. We needed a conservative onslaught to stop the liberal leftist juggernaut. It's not going to happen with Boehner. Boehner's going to cut deals with Obama that look nothing like true republicanism. And really, it's to the disgrace of many of the freshmen who are indeed suffering from lacobolitis. It's a bad disease going around Washington.
Yeah, who's this?
This is Gary Palmer from the freshman representative from Alabama. Thank you again, Gary Palmer. Congratulations to you for actually having a sack.
And he will, we have it on good account, he will
this guy.
be
And this
officing in the RFK Stadium about 2 or 3 miles from
And this is Dave
Congress.
Bratt.
There's Dave
Dave
Bratt.
Bratt, Virginia. That is who took out,
Oh, yeah.
come on, Virginia. Oh, gosh. Who is the Jewish guy from Virginia?
Oh, Eric Cantor. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, that Brad
That's
Can-
the
that's
Bratts
right.
who beat Cantor in the primary.
Right.
And he was true. Now, who did he vote for? Do we know who he voted for? Well, we know. I mean, it's public record.
Yeah.
He didn't vote for Boehner. Let's get that guy. Let's try to get an interview with him during the rest of this week. Today is the 6th of January, ladies and gentlemen. 13 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast. Earlier today, right around 2 o'clock, the vote was tallied. It took about an hour, about 1 hour. The way it works, if you were not privy to watching it, and we let you hear a little bit of the beginning, we will bring you a repeat of Congressman John Boehner's acceptance speech, if you could hear through the tears.
Well, actually, Nancy Pelosi's blabbing on and on and on and on and on and
Well,
on
I
and
think-
on and on and on and on and on.
I think we'll get it in our show, but we taped it for you.
Yeah.
We'll bring that for you. And the way it works is very simple. You need a majority of the congressional delegates who are present to actually vote. If they vote present, that means that they're not voting yes or no. And of those who vote, you need 50% plus 1. That's the way it works. It's a democratic process. And there were today in Congress 401, I think the number was, wasn't it? What was
I think there's 401 present.
401 bodies present, 401 souls in the chamber. And so half of that is what? 200 and a half.
201.
200 and a half. But there was a group, there was one voted present, which means he's taken out of the universe, so you got 200. And then 34, 35 voted for someone other than Boehner or Pelosi. They voted for other. So out of the remaining pool, you needed a majority. And the majority, do we know the number? 209 or 200, something along those lines. Won it.
220.
220?
221.
221 was the winning number for Boehner. And what does it mean? Now, that's what we're going to do today's show. We have 2 issues on this show, which we're entitling A Dark Day for America. And one is the re-election of someone who is not a conservative. He is a K Street lobbyist. He's a slick talking, quick dealing. shady politician that has finagled his way to the third most powerful position in the world. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. But that's the position, Speaker of the House, that John Boehner holds. As you know, if the president dies, the vice president takes his place. If the vice president dies, not everybody understands that the Speaker of the House becomes the President of the United States of America. John Boehner is 2 heartbeats away from being the President of the United States. Unbelievable.
I mean, it's not Hillary Clinton.
No.
Well, 2 things were unbelievable out of this vote for me. One, that the Democrats, after what the destruction that they've caused in the last decade, starting with Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House back in, 06? The damage caused by this party and the losses that they have suffered the last 3 elections now, 10, 12, and 14.
Right.
How dumb are the Democrats to stick with Nancy Pelosi as their leader? She's driving them right into the bottom of the barrel.
Well,
Not one Democrat got another vote.
This is the second part of the dark day for America, is the fact that today, January 6th, the series of judges in Florida have essentially suspended the Floridian Constitution and legalized gay marriage. That has occurred 12:01 a.m. this morning, January 6, 2015. We're going to go through that in a little bit of detail toward the end of the show. And regardless of where you stand on same-sex marriage.
Oh, he cried. He cried.
He's crying already?
He's
There
crying.
it is.
Oh,
There
I
it is. There
can't
it
see him.
is.
Cut
There
to
it is.
him
There it is.
because
Ellen, he's crying. He's crying again. You win, Tom. God.
we had a
damn,
$5 bet.
bet.
It wasn't an unfair bet on my part.
I took
I
the
bet
other half.
that
He's
Crier
already
Boehner.
crying. He's already crying.
I bet that
my
Crier
God.
Boehner would cry. And it's all an act, ladies and gentlemen. It's all a total act. What the heck? Did he fall in a mud puddle or something? He's darker than Obama.
I
He
know,
is.
look at
I
him.
was saying that. He's darker than half of the black Democrats in Congress. He's certainly darker than Keith Ellison.
What the heck happened to him?
Oh, man, he looks
Oh,
horrible.
he kisses Nancy.
Oh,
Kisses
did you hear about
Nancy.
his new gavel? His new gavel has a flask built into the handle.
Oh, he's crying. He's breaking
All
out
right,
in big old
let's.
crud to
All right, we got to bring you this, folks. 'Cause,
Oh, I'm so
here we go.
happy.
All right, listen carefully. Here we go.
Thank you. Friends, colleagues, countrymen, and especially the people of Ohio's 8th Congressional District, thank you for sending me here. And let's today welcome all of the new members and all of their families to what we all know to be a truly historic day.
Sniff, sniff.
Sniff, sniff, sniff.
This is
And
so
we
stupid.
welcome all of the members back who were reelected. We want to welcome your families as well, and want to thank my family.
Cry, more tears.
I don't know about you, but
And I was doing pretty good on the walk over here from my ceremonial office until I ran into Devin Nunes's 3 little girls. My 3 biggest fans, and one of them had to come running over and give me a kiss, and I was a mess. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad.
oh, he's a.
We
minister.
rejoice that our new members and families are here. We want to welcome them. We're glad and humbled to begin anew as servants of the people's house. Here it is our duty and our privilege to lend a willing ear to the people, to make laws in tune with their priorities and within the limits of their Constitution. In recent months, our economy has shown signs of improvement. And after difficult years, it may be a temptation to accept what I'll call the new normal. But America did not become exceptional by ease.
Come over to here.
Far too Americans remain out
Fade
of
him out
work,
for a second.
and too many are working
Because
harder only to lose
I didn't
ground.
eat a lot of lunch, but I don't want to lose any of my lunch listening to him too much. What we're doing today, folks, at 20 minutes after 4 o'clock, it's a historic day in many respects. And even Speaker Boehner referenced the fact that it's historic. He's saying it's historic for positive reasons. We're saying it's historic for negative reasons. 60% of Republicans, 60%, a poll was recently done, legitimate poll, 60% of polled Republicans do not want Boehner to be the Speaker of the House. 25% of Republicans may not vote Republican if he's the Speaker, and if the policies continue this way, 671 days from today, November 8th, 2016. It's very possible, if we get what we think we're going to get from him as the Speaker, which is Barack Obama light, porous borders, increased federal budget, weak foreign policy, total lack of internal security on Islamic Jihad, Muslim Brotherhood being empowered throughout. If we get these sort of policies and prescriptions from this 114th Congress, Boehner being the Speaker, who the heck wants to be a Republican anymore? That's what the question is.
And
we're going to go back and forth. We're going to comment and go back and forth and listen to him. But is he stopped now?
No, he's
no,
talking.
he's still blabbing on.
You can freeze him maybe. And,
Nah, I don't want to freeze him. I just let him blather on. But here's another person you're going to be hearing from, and this is the type of rhetoric you're going to start hearing coming out of the White House. And Tom, you said it best, and I'm actually just going to play it for you, and then you can comment on it.
I got a question for all of you out there in America, and particularly for you university students that are about to graduate in June and move on to jobs in the IT field. Listen to this statement. Tell me if it's true or false.
Immigration is America's #1 economic asset. High-tech companies recognize that immigration is America's #1 economic asset.
Immigration is America's #1 economic asset. I'm going to say it again a little differently. Immigration is the #1 economic asset for the United States of America. Forget about everything else that we do in America. We forget about the fact that we can feed the whole world, but immigration is the #1 economic asset for the United States of America. True or false? Don't even answer that stupid question.
Don't even answer that stupid question. Don't even answer that stupid question. But it's a stupid question because it's absurd on its face. But Grover Norquist, who is the Wizard of K Street, go back to our YouTube account, theunitedwest.com youtube.com/the United West. Go there and look at our K Street series. And we lay out very clearly that Boehner, Speaker Boehner, and Grover Norquist, the Wizard of K Street, there's no light between the two of these guys. They have the same exact policies. They live in the same lobbyist world. They fly in the same corporate jets. They play golf at the same golf courses. This is the sad state of affairs right now. So immigration, Boehner's already failed on. There he is with Grover right now. So all the nonsense you hear about his tearing up today and all of that, we are in trouble as constitutional conservatives. If you're a Democrat light, a Republican in name only, and you want to broaden the tent and try to win the majority of whomever out there, you're going to love Boehner. But that's not what America,
We want the illegal
Republican Party is
immigrants.
all
We
about.
want the gay community. We want the queer community. Really? How about just go get the Christian votes that haven't been voting for 2 cycles because you keep putting up Democrat
crazy
lights
stuff.
that don't get the base out, you dopes.
There was a myth, and a lot of people feared that if we don't vote for Boehner, Pelosi can be Speaker. There was a fear.
Oh, come on.
Fact, the winner needs an outright majority of those present voting, which will be roughly 218. Pelosi will never receive more than 188 votes, the number of Democrats in her Congress. No Republican was going to vote for her. So there was no way not voting for Boehner could cause her to win. I have no choice but to vote for Boehner. These are some of the myths, and sadly, these myths were believed by many of the Republicans today. I have no choice but to vote for Boehner. This is not a voice vote by acclamation. Representatives will be called by the clerk to answer as an individual and now have several other official choices in addition to the standard ability to verbalize any choice of their liking. So they could vote for several people. How many ran? 5 or 6 people ran.
Yeah, but there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 individuals with votes other than
That
Boehner
brings up the
Pelosi.
next myth. We need to unite behind one choice or risk splitting the vote. Fact, given that the Speaker needs an absolute majority of those present and voting, multiple or alternatives does not split the anti-Boehner vote. Multiple choices only presents additional options for different factions to drive down Boehner's numbers below a majority. The objective would be to take this to a second ballot. For all the accusations that conservatives are purists, they're actually very pragmatic about the need to be open to numerous alternatives.
Well,
And that wasn't even followed. Let's
Well-
go back to him for a second. Oh, is he done?
no, he's still clapping, taking applause and everything.
I think he
like
needs a new
that.
tissue
He needs a
for
new
his
tissue,
tears.
Yeah, whatever. But what's amazing about this whole process, Tom,
think
is
he's
that you look at it and people just following the party establishment. Once they get elected, they get up there and it's already happening. They're following the party establishment. And we're conservatives. We're not Democrats, okay? This is completely the same type of nonsense that's happened last year when they passed the
Same thing.
Cromnibus, which made Obamacare,
Funded Obamacare.
Funded Obamacare,
Right.
funded the immigration.
and now we're going to get immigration shoved down on our throats, and he's going to work out, and you're going to have amnesty again because of Grover Norquist and John Boehner.
And Barack Obama.
There's another myth. I might lose my committee assignment if I oppose Boehner. And that's a big issue in Washington, D.C. 27 minutes after the hour, folks, and the hour on the East Coast is 4 o'clock. One of the myths is, and for those of you out there who have friends who have been in Congress or you've played up in Washington, D.C., you know the allure. It's a phenomenal mystique. It is magnetic. It is seductive. It is destructive. Once you get there and you have that little round pin that says you're a member, you are a member of Congress. That little round thing opens doors very quickly and very widely.
You get restaurants at the best table.
You go to a restaurant and
And somehow you become a millionaire on less than the salary it takes to become one.
$136,000.
Amazingly.
You become a millionaire. He's worth about between $2 and $8 million.
And how much is
Boehner
Nancy Crazy Eyes Pelosi worth?
Oh yeah, she's in the hundreds. $100 million.
But she'll call out the one percenters.
Yeah, exactly. You walk into a restaurant in Washington, D.C., and you're going to go sit at a nice table. They see your little button. Oh, wait a minute, sir. You're over here. You go to the... 2 or 3 times of that happening, 2 or 3 times of people asking for you're a schmuck. You've been a school teacher or a lawyer somewhere in some little town somewhere, yeah. And, you had a little notoriety, but you go to Washington, D.C., and all of a sudden...
You're the big fish in the pond.
The red carpet, and you're on a committee, you're making decisions that you read your name in a newspaper, a national... That's seductive. Then you get in good with the speaker, and not only on the legislative end, where you get involved in writing laws, but the social end. You go to the best cocktail parties.
Right.
You go to the best boat rides in the summertime on the Mississippi.
And you
go
get
to
the
best
VIP treatments in the football games.
You go to Jeff Epstein's mansions around the world
Palm
and,
Beach,
and,
yeah.
And then-
cahoot with underage women.
And then after all of that, then you get to meet the big-time lobbyists who wrap money and package money for you.
who will make sure you get reelected.
Like,
Leadership packs.
and this is where Grover steps in. Then you get to, weigh in, and you get to.
Well, here's that next
honorated
myth.
Yeah.
I might lose my committee assignment if I oppose Speaker Boehner. And you can hear the freshmen shaking in their new Gucci shoes as they're walking in a
Right.
freezing Washington. Fact, the committee process has been bypassed by Boehner on numerous occasions, resulting in meaningless committee assignments. By 29 members opposing Boehner, which is the number needed to throw it into a second round, the ensuing leverage would allow for negotiating with potential speaker candidates to empower committees and thus decentralize
That's the point.
control he has. He has tremendous control right now, and he knows it. I think he's done speaking, but 30 minutes after 4 o'clock,
Straight to the bar now.
oh God.
He's going to get his drunk on today, boy.
The rumor is that he enjoys drinking a lot of alcohol.
That's not a rumor.
And, no, I know. And look, there are good men and women who drink too much and
He's not one of them.
have good policies. And we're not saying invent new policies. We're saying look at the 2012 platform of Republican philosophy for what Republicans are. If you look at that, Boehner has shredded that thing. He's taken those 60 pages of hard-fought doctrine and political philosophy and objective ideas and considerations, and he's thrown them through a shredder and said, K Street is going to determine which direction this country goes. And sadly, that's the situation. Why do people not run for office? They see this kind of nonsense. Who wants to put up with all that when you can go be productive? That's got to be Photoshopped, that Jameson. Right there, he's about, I know that's a lie, that picture, because the Jameson bottle may be shot, but he's about 10 shades lighter than he is today.
Well, yeah, today
He got a fresh paint job today.
Fresh paint job
He went into the detail shop.
He went into the spray booth and said, "Max it, baby. Give me the Trento.
I got to look good today.
I want to be darker than Trento, you know."
He's darker than Obama.
He is. He's darker than Obama. There's a great article out. Let me stop there, and let's analyze for our audience. We're very upset. I mean, we're emotionally passionate about this. Not only because we like Louis Gomer as a person, not only do we even like Dan Webster as a person. He was a senator here in Florida for many years. Great men, great constitutional conservatives, these guys. And they're real. They're both dear Christian men. They're very real. They walk their talk, these guys. So not only did we miss having statesmen like that who would have brought sane policies or at least obstructed the insane policies of the left, but we got a guy who's going to accelerate the insane policies of Obama in the 2 years to the run-up to the general election where you need just the opposite. That's why this is so frustrating. What do we do about it? What do we do about it?
Well, I want to look at a little bit of the positive thing here too with, what happened is.
You're going to Mars for the next 10 minutes, or were you
Tom,
going
where
to?
do you find these people?
Yes, what's positive about this?
Well, Louis Gohmert standing up, right? Since 1923, nobody has stood up to the establishment. And sometimes it takes, you have to start chipping away at the beginning. And
good point.
And it takes people like that to start the ball rolling. And they were only expecting, last year they tried something similar and they got 0 votes for, Boehner was 100% majority. Now they only expected this time to get 9 or maybe 10 votes. But they ended up getting roughly 24, 25 votes, I think it was, against him, which actually makes a statement. Hey guys, here's a stop sign. Here's a red light. You've crossed that red light, and we're going to stand up just on principle alone.
So there's what's the number of? I think it's 288. Let's see. Check the total number of Republicans.
246.
240. That's right. It was 245. I think it's 245. 246.
Right, because
one guy.
Grimm just resigned on his
so
tax.
it's 245. So we got 25 people that
10%. Basically,
about
only 10% of Now, explain this to me. A poll comes out that says 60% of Republicans want the Republican leadership changed, yet only 10% of the representatives voted for a change in that leadership. Where is the representation of the people that voted them into office? They're more concerned with what you were just talking about, is getting their golf junkets, getting their dinner reservations, and getting their committee assignments. They're more concerned with that than serving the people that put them in office in the first place. And if I sound pissed, it's because I am. 60% of Republicans did not want this leadership, and only 10% of the elected Republicans bothered to change the vote. Those people, you know what? This should be like Israel, call new elections tomorrow. Get some people in there that represent the people that voted for them.
Well, I got to give a big stand-up applause, seriously, to this man, Louis Gomer.
All right, let's give Louis a hand.
And
Love
as
me some
far as-
Louis.
Yep. And it takes a tremendous amount of courage to do to buck the system, to go against the tide, to be hated and loathed by, and knowing that he was probably going to lose and do it anyway. That's just, but I think he's making a statement that, hey, it's okay to buck the system, because now I think he's actually going to gain more power because of this stance.
Well, this is a possible analysis. I mean, we've been through this stuff a lot, these bad decisions. We named the show yesterday "Run Louis Win," because we said at the outset, whether he wins or loses, he's already won. He has taken a stand, a principled guy taking a stand against Boehner, and just as Damon, you said there's a disconnect between the number of people, Republicans that don't want Boehner, and the number of representatives that voted for him. There's a disconnect.
Only 6 times.
Yeah, many of those who voted for him did it holding their noses because of fear of whatever, or they bought into. What happens is this: when you get elected as a freshman, I ran a campaign for a guy in the Gingrich's contract with America, 1992, and we almost won, but. That whole run-up, we were back and forth in D.C., and you're in a million meetings. And then once, if you do win, from November until the swearing in January, you're in D.C. so many times. You're in, you learn how to dress, you learn how to do this, you learn how to talk. I mean, they brief you on everything. They also brief you on how the system works. If you come in wide-eyed thinking you're going to change things around, they tell you
Simmer down, kid.
It doesn't quite happen that way. We got to proceed, the good old boys. We got a procedure. It's been working a long time. Go along to get along. Don't rock the boat. Don't be crazy. You can do that in your district to win. Here we work as a team. Here we have leadership. So right away, these wide-eyed people come in and they go, and then now imagine, you just got elected. You're, let's say you're 42 years old.
Right.
You've had a distinguished career, whatever. Now you have guys that have been in for 20 years that you've looked at in the news that you've admired.
Right.
And they put their arm around you, pull you in a corner, and they go, you're going to be okay.
Welcome,
kid.
buddy. You're one of us now.
You're one of us. We're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing.
What do I hear about this thing?
Well,
with
hold on.
you?
Before you go there, and it says, yeah, we'll take care of you, and here's your staff. We already got your staff for you. Everything's all taken care of, and it's the same staff that was there for the last guy who was in there. So
That happened to Alan West. Remember,
happened to
he
Alan
had
West.
Joyce Kaufman, and that thing blew up. Then next thing you know, he's got a guy that's been in Congress 16 years,
Right.
Jonathan, and
But that happens over and over because these guys don't. You got to understand, they come in like they're freshmen. They're literal freshmen, and
Getting stuffed in the locker.
And the seniors of the football team come in there. Hey, here's your staff. Here's your office. Here's your. And we'll take you out to dinner. Meet you. Here's the people you need to know. Here's Grover Norquist, the guy you need to know.
As sick as it sounds, not only that, I guarantee you on this first day, the big old the old boy club says, if you want to get reelected, on their very first day. They are being threatened that they will not have campaign financing if they don't play the game the way that they're expected to play it. So from their first day in office, they're having their reelection threatened by these guys. It's disgusting.
It's explained to them that, look, your first term, even your second term, possibly your third term, that's the
junior senior moment.
The dress rehearsal.
Right.
That's the dress rehearsal for really being a legislator. So we're gonna groom you, all of this. We'll give you the right consultants, the whole deal. So now if you buck that trend at that point, not only do you not get the committee assignments that you would like, not only do you not get the office that you would like, but you get cold shoulders, not only from other legislators, except for your little cadre of people who think like you, but from the staff too. And the staffs are immense for Congress people. They have 30 people, some of these staffs. So wherever you go, whatever you do, people are just blowing you off. Yeah, oh, sorry, we're out of lunch for you, but, you can get something down the hallway.
Did you want a turkey sandwich instead of that prime rib?
Who
And
are you
also-
who are you going to turn to?
And
You go,
here's the
hey,
other-
this isn't fair.
And here's the
Life
other
up
thing
here.
too: the staff. All right, they're not loyal to that freshman congressman. That staff is loyal
No, the
to
staff
John.
The staff's loyal to K Street.
The staff's loyal to John Boehner.
They're loyal to a job staying there. These guys
Right.
come and go.
And so you do not think that staff, this 30-person staff that you have come in there, doesn't come in there and say, hey, Speaker Boehner, this little freshman upstart congressman that you got down here in Florida, he's thinking about voting this way on House Resolution 232, whatever, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, thank you, Mr. Staffer.
This is where Winston Churchill comes in, where he says democracy is a terrible form of government. Winston Churchill actually said democracy is a terrible form of government. He said, but it's better than anything else out there. And that's the sad part, because many of us who have been at this for a while, we say, all right, how do we use whatever gifts we may have most effectively, inside the system in an elected office or outside the system? And many dear friends of mine, many wonderful people have made decisions many times they spent money. A friend of mine recently spent a ton of money hiring consultants, all that, determining whether or not that particular individual was right to run for Congress. And at the end of the day, the decision was no. You'd be so frustrated by this crazy system because you're an entrepreneurial business type person. That's not how Congress works. It's a slow grinding machine. But we know that there are some secrets, particularly grassroots activity, grassroots action, that can initiate change in the congressional setting. And that's where the good news is in this story. We got somebody like Gomer now and Dan Webster. We may need to come up with a concept.
And Yoho, too.
And Yoho from Florida. We may need to come up with a concept. What's Boehner? What's his title?
Speaker of the House.
We need to come up with
Speaker of the People.
Speaker of the People, Speaker for the House, Speaker of the People. That may be the one that works best.
Because this joker certainly is
people.
not.
No,
Not when
no.
60%.
Speaker of the
Listen,
people.
60% of Republicans, folks, not 60% of all voters. 60% of Republicans wanted to
Did
see
not want
new
Boehner.
leadership.
And 30% said they are threatening to leave the Republican Party because of the actions of...
Because of this ass clown.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at one way to illustrate this. There's a great article in Rolling Stone magazine by Mike Tiabi. His father is Matt Tiabi, who's the CNN reporter. We'll give you you need to go read this, The Crying Shame of John Boehner. Take a look at this. You can Google The Crying Shame of John Boehner, The Crying Shame of John Boehner, Rolling Stone magazine, 2010. This was
January 5th,
11.
2011.
Oh, this was when he was elected Speaker the first time, 2011, after being reelected in 2010. One of the best articles I've read on why Boehner, this is from a leftist, why Boehner is a fraud. It's just a great expose, and you, if you're a constitutional conservative, you probably agree with about 92% of it, and it's very humorous, too, in the way it's written. But the article I want to draw your attention to right now is something that I was involved in 2011. It was an attack, if you will, on Boehner and on our dear friend Alan West. And we're going to illustrate why Boehner ought not be the Speaker of the House with this little situation that I was involved in personally. If you guys can pull that up, the D.C. interview, Tea Party leader. Yeah, what's the title?
The D.C. interview, Tea Party leader Tom Trento on his attack on Alan West and the budget battle.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember this whole thing.
Sure.
Yes, I do.
But it was the end of 2011.
Yeah, Alan got mad at you.
He got mad at me, yeah. And we were upset with him, obviously, because we worked for Alan for two elections, and he lost
8.
in 8.
And
Got
1 in
elected
10.
in 10.
And
a lot
lost
of
in
work,
12.
A lot of work. I mean, we made commercials. We did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And not just the work, because things happen, but his statements when he stood there, military strong, and I'll never forget. He said, I've led 600 men in the battlefield. I can deal with 400 in Congress. Right? It was a beautiful turn of a phrase, and to me that meant something. That you're going to stand strong against the waves that are going to be crashing against you like the enemy does on the battlefield. And it was the end of 2011. There was going to be a vote on the debt ceiling, whether or not it ought to be raised. The Tea Party conservatives said, don't raise it. Oh, the government's going to shut down. So what? What does the government mean when it shuts down? The whole government doesn't shut down.
Oh, there ain't gonna be no armed forces. The highways is gonna close down, and you ain't gonna get your Social Security check.
It's so minimal, the impact of it. It's maximized to the Democratic federal employees that have bogus jobs filling offices in Washington, D.C. They get some days off.
But you know what Obama did make sure when the government shut down, if you'll remember, we covered it. What he did make sure to shut down...
The White House closed.
No,
No,
World War
not
II.
just that, but how about all the federal parks, the memorials
Oh, yeah.
to all the war memorials in D.C. where you had guys and gals showing up on their victory flights being told that they couldn't go visit the Korean, the World War II, and the Vietnam memorials.
Yep.
Yeah, the
yep.
honor-
It took more federal workers to keep people out than it did to keep them open. That shows you the vindictiveness of this administration.
All right, listen to this.
So go ahead.
This was the Hill newspaper reports that Tom Trento, this was, I think, when was this?
Hold on.
July.
Hey, Tom.
July 29th, 11.
I don't have my glasses on. Who's that in the middle? Is that John Boehner or Alan West?
Alan
Yeah, I
West.
think
Hey.
That's Alan West. Boehner's darker than Alan. Today, he's darker than Alan.
Hey, I have a quick question.
If you haven't seen on the radio, folks, at 48 minutes after 4, John Boehner was spray painted brown.
Today.
The guy is brown today. His face is totally spray painted.
Way darker than Obama. I have a question on that topic. When he cries, does his paint run?
Does his paint run off? Yeah. The Hill newspaper, July 29, 2011. The Hill newspaper reports that Tom Trento heads up a grassroots foreign policy group called the United West and serves in a leadership role in a number of other Tea Party-related groups, has affixed the label Tea Party defector to several Tea Party-connected members of Congress who have come out in support of the Boehner debt. Okay, machine, come over here. Boehner debt. Get over here. A new machine. I'm trying to see how this thing works. Boehner debt. Somebody read that.
We don't have it up.
I got a. Oh, no thanks. I had to get rid of an ad. The Boehner debt plan, without a provision for a BBA, bounds, including Florida Representative Alan West. Many of us were arguing, if you're going to raise the debt ceiling, at least include a balanced budget amendment
to it. You're right.
This is common sense, right? And, there's all kinds of supposed arguments against that. The Daily Caller caught up with Trento to discuss his attack on West and his position on the debt ceiling debate. And essentially what I said was, look, at some point you got to say enough is enough. And right now, Boehner, who represented himself the beginning of this year, 2011, as the speaker, hard-charging, conservative, now July, when we're looking at an end-of-the-year situation that may be uncomfortable, this is the time of the moment. This is what statesmen live for, to make systemic and substantial and significant changes. We said, let's do it. And Michelle Bachmann, there were 31 or 32 members that stood strong against Boehner back in July of 2011.
Right.
We all said Alan's going to be.
Alan's going to be right there.
What Boehner did is this. This is why I could never vote for this guy in any elected position. I was kind of hoping Nancy Pelosi would become the speaker to teach everybody a lesson. What Boehner did was this. He had a rally. The guy is a gambler, in terms of political gambler. He's a fixer. If he were in La Cosa Nostra, he'd be the guy you call, I got a little problem in Miami. Hey, Johnny.
Get vetoed.
Johnny B. get your ass down to Miami, straighten things out for us. You know, the Don is going to take care of you. And Johnny B would go down there, he'd straighten it out. Well, what Johnny B did, he called a meeting, and it was, I mean, if you remember, I remember it distinctly, because we had a big campaign. We launched cell phone messages to people all over the place, and we went after Alan because of what I'm going to tell you what he did. Boehner got everybody in the room. He locked the door, and he said, I'm not going out here until I got a deal. And he played a clip from a movie. I think the movie was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Guns, something like that. Lock,
Two
Stock,
Smoking Barrels.
Two Smoking Barrels. And there's a scene where the bad guy is going to rob a bank. He needs a couple of guys to go with him to drive the car, to be a lookout. So he delivers this very impassioned, it's time, we go get the money that's ours, and we go to the bank, and you know, and then all this stuff, and then the camera cuts to two of the guys, and one of the guys goes, I'll go with you. And the other guy says, I'll go with you too, and I'll drive the car.
Right.
Boehner plays a gangster movie, right, to motivate people to go be with him.
Oh, the Gang of Eight. What kind of name for legislators is a Gang of Eight?
Alan West was in that room.
Right.
And the reports are, and Alan's never denied it. Now we're all counting on Alan being a leader with Michelle Bachmann fighting against Boehner to
Put
call,
some sanity, some
to
fiscal
call Obama's
sanity.
bluff, right? This was
Right.
going to be calling Obama's bluff because deals had to be cut on other social issues and all this. And the meeting's over, and the press report that Alan West joined Boehner's side. And the way he joined it, when the movie ended, he's told Boehner, I'm with you. And not only am I with you, but I'll drive the car.
Really? I never heard that story.
And Alan West said that. And that devastated myself and others. And then a few of us got together and we said, we love Alan West. And I say it in that article. I say, I love the guy, voted for him. And because they said, are you now going to primary Alan, in 2012? I said, no, I have no intentions of primarying Alan, finding somebody to run against Alan in a primary.
Right.
What,
If
you want to
he-
get your ass kicked?
Unless I said on record, he continues caving into Boehner and Obama, then yes, I'll get behind a primary candidate. And to his credit, Alan backed off, and there was some bad.
He had
blood
one
between
other
us.
bad vote on the Pickford, was it? The farm. It was some kind of farm bill that he certainly voted the wrong way. He took a lot of heat on that. Outside of those two votes, Alan lived up to everything that we expected of him.
Yeah, and we worked very hard for his reelection.
And did he later come back? I can't. I really don't know. I'm asking this question. Did he ever come back later and say he regretted that, or he did not? Or do you have any context?
No,
of what he did?
I don't know if it's on the record that he regretted joining with Boehner. I don't know. I don't recall.
I'll tell you what. I would certainly drive Boehner's car somewhere for him.
Yeah. On a Saturday night.
Right over the cliff.
But what's the point of all that at 53 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast
Where's
on this
the
very
time
dark
go?
day?
Mr. Smith goes to Washington
Yeah.
is very, very difficult.
But the man in question, John Boehner, he is not a statesman. He is not a constitutional conservative. He hates the Tea Party. He's worked against the Tea Party. The Tea Party are the red, white, and blue Americans that simply say, we got a document that's worked for almost 250 years. Why are we going to go play games culturally and sociologically with this and assist Obama and the neo-Marxist left? What is all that about? And what all that about is that picture right there, Grover Norquist and money. Boehner has been on 180 different junkets. Oh, he cries about cleaning his father's bar when he was 8 years old. Give me a friggin' break. You clean your father's. You know how that is.
Yeah.
Johnny, get in here and pick up the garbage. I'm not doing it. I'm going to go play out the side. Okay, and he cleans it for 1 second. That becomes his biography.
Right.
He sweated and toiled cleaning his father's bar. The guy was in
He was drinking at 8 years old.
he worked in the plastics industry. He
Yeah.
was a
He's
representative.
a manufacturer's
Yeah,
rep.
like what do you want? Plastic containers for
And-
your party? Okay, I got them over here.
And that story that was played on 60 Minutes about Boehner, and how he went to this big old crying jag. You know, well, the same story you just told.
From the Rolling Stone.
It was directly out of the Rolling Stones article that this guy exposed. Because this is...
It's an act. It's all of that. But look, we could have a lot of fun with John Boehner's weaknesses. The problem is we're in serious trouble in terms of Hillary and others lining up to really make a hard left turn. So I like the idea of Speaker of the People. Let's think seriously about organizing Louis Gomer, Dan Webster, the guys that are out there in some kind of caucus out of D.C. We can work with Center for Security Policy.
You know how
maybe.
like they have the Black Caucus, have like the People's Caucus.
Yeah, the People's Caucus.
Yeah.
And have these guys become a central part. In fact, I did something like this in the Reagan administration. We had a group of men and women, conservative Christians, who would meet in D.C. and liaise with the Reagan White House and basically say, here's our concerns. They'd say, here's our concerns. We'd go to the grassroots and bypass the bureaucracy of this. We're going to think about this.
Yeah. Can I make one statement?
Yeah, we got about 2 minutes left. I want to give 1 minute on the
For
gay
all
thing.
of those congressmen and women that took their kids into the chamber today, you should all be charged with child abuse. Because taking your children to a place that's filthier than a porn studio should be a crime.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one question about the thing happened in Miami. The judge overruled
and we'll have to pick this up subsequent shows because it's significant. As of today, January 6th, 2015, the federal judge and a whole host of Florida judges circumvented the constitutional amendment in the Florida Constitution, passed by referendum. That's how difficult this was. 61% of the people in 2008 voted for a definition of marriage being a union between a man and a woman, that would be the rule in the states' rights state of Florida. 39%, I think it was, voted against that. Ever since that day, and that was led by John Stemberger, who got something like 700,000 signatures on the ballot to get a referendum to take to the election of 2008 during Obama's first election, when you think everything would have gone the other way. The people of the state spoke. They don't want same-sex marriage in Florida. So how does the gay lobby get around that? They do it through judicial activism. It's so important because we're going to see judicial activism in the 114th Congress that will have to carry this over. But just as we do not hate Muslims here, we don't hate individuals who are Muslims. We don't hate gay people. I have family. Everybody has a family.
Hey,
member
Tom,
who's gay.
show them that chains around your neck.
Yeah, I got jewelry from gay people. I got friends who are married who are gay that I go and spend time with them. All of that. Disagree with their beliefs and that stuff, but don't hate them by any means. Don't view them any less human. Just believe that it's not the best policy for constructing a sane, a moral, a civilized society, and the data supports that. So that's the ethical elements of the gay issue. The legislative and judicial issues and states' rights issues really are drawn into question here. Can judges by fiat overrule the state's rights to determine how it wants to proceed on gay issues? That's the issue. We're going to get John Stemberger on the show, a lawyer who's behind a lot of the pro-family movement, to help us walk through that.
Can I just read the quote on the bottom of the script? Because I think it's fantastic, having to do with this topic. Question.
And we'll end on that.
If there is a God, as our founders so foolishly believed, and if he has provided basic rules for life, as our founders so foolishly believed, will there be natural consequences to violating those rules? In particular, rules that reject God's process to continue the human race and rules that reject God's process to organize the human race.
And that question raises, will there be consequences, natural consequences? Watch.
Gravity
Gravity took over. Are there natural consequences to moral laws that are violated? That's a question we're going to leave the folks to ponder. We'll answer it in subsequent days. But if you violate a natural law, are there negative and deleterious consequences? Think about it. See you tomorrow.
And I want to send out a thank you to Louis Gomer.
Yes.
And Dave Brett and Gary Palmer.
Speaker of the people.